All right. All right, you ready? What's up, everybody? This is Brett. Oh, sorry. All right. All right. One more time. Take two. Welcome to Rules of Villainy. This evening we'll be discovering. I'm so sorry. All right, last one. Last one.
You sure about that?
One more time. Welcome to Rules of Villainy, episode 47, where three new trading card game players play quest and challenge their way to the competitive top tables and discuss their opinions on Disney Lorcana. This evening, we'll be covering the latest news in Lorcana, answering your questions, and going over new developments in the metagame, or maybe not. This is the last week before Reign of Jafar, so the meta is out the window. Vince couldn't make it tonight. He is probably off building Lego cars or something. We don't know, but he said he couldn't be here. If you aren't aware, I am Brad, or the mayor of Lorcana, and joined with me tonight is Villain Andy and Villainess Kirsten. How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, happy that we finally got through that intro. It only took a few, but we're here. We're in it. Last week of Archazia's Island, Reign of Jafar is out today as this episode drops. It's absolutely insane that this feels like this whole set just went right past us. I honestly can't believe it. How do you guys feel? You excited? You ready to pull some new cards? Start building new decks?
Kind of overwhelmed, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I am ready to open new packies. However, I desperately missed the break in between the last weekend of set champs and the new set. Oh my goodness, the things that I had to get done between finishing the last set champs on Sunday and opening new packs on Friday, today, whenever.
It's wild. Yeah. This whole week of play, I don't even know, like, if I know Vince went to Fortuna tonight, but I know he wasn't feeling too well. I wonder, that's an open play thing. The other competitive nights, I don't even think they fired this week. I think everybody's just kind of chilling out. It's been a very, very competitive week of competitive month even of Disney Lorcana. So excited for new stuff, excited for new polls. So a bunch of the cards are pretty. I'm hoping we got Jock. Jock is there. I want all the foil Jocks in St. Louis, guys. So let's make that happen.
I want all of the enchanted. So let's make that happen.
Yes. It's a little more attainable, but unrealistic that I get every single one. But yeah, with that, let's move into Underworld news. We got a bunch of new information this past Thursday. They have the weekly Lorecast, which is great. We finally have that now. It always happens the day after we record, so we're a little bit behind, but we got Worlds formats released or announced last Thursday. You guys want to dive into that? There's a couple of them that are, both of them. There's two of them that are really, really interesting. What do you think about them, Andy?
Yeah, we've got super sealed and triple deck. So super sealed is basically what it sounds like. It's sealed but super. You get 4 packs of the 4 latest sets. So in this case, Shimmering Skies, Azurite Sea, Archazia Island, and Reign of Jafar. It would be interesting to see as this goes on, like next year's Worlds. I assume it'll be, again, the same. The 4 newest sets seems reasonable. You get one you get 1 hour to construct your deck, 3 ink color restrictions. So unlike normal sealed where you have no ink color restrictions, you are limited to 3 colors and a 50 card sealed deck. So you do have to find room to fit 10 more in there. You're not more than the 40 card normal. And a really interesting part, kind of basically like a sideboard, is you're able to switch the cards in your deck in between matches in a round. So the way that'll work is you'll have your 50 cards in your 3-color deck, and then presumably all of the other 3 cards in those 3 colors you'll have in a separate pile that you bring with you. You'll play with your registered 50-card deck, and after game 1, win or lose, you have the choice to maybe swap out some of the cards or add more in or adjust your deck however you'd like using those additional ink color cards, which adds like a really interesting spice to it. It does add time to the to the round, which is a factor to consider. But then your deck does revert back to normal after that at the start of the next round. So that's really interesting. We were actually just before we started recording here talking about trying to get a store in the area to hopefully run like a super sealed event. That would be really, really cool to try out. It seems a whole lot of fun. I think I'd be remiss in not mentioning. I know Villain Vince is not too happy, and I kind of agree with him that this is part of the main event, if you will. You go to a DLC, or in this case, the World Championship, and part of your, score, part of your road to victory or lack thereof is decided by the 16 booster packs you open up. So,
yeah,
I'm
kind of in the same boat where like on the flip side, I think that like Worlds is supposed to determine the best player in Lorcana, not the best deck, right? So this kind of thing, there's enough variance in the game already. This adds even more to it, and that's the biggest complaint people have been saying on the social since this announcement is that the best player in the world could just get all duds,
Yeah.
and not even have a chance, right? So. At least in this portion of it, I like to think that the caliber of players that are at Worlds can find the cards that they need to make a great deck and have a compelling tournament for them. But there is that chance that there's nothing. There's nothing extraordinary in those cards. Granted, it's 10 more packs than a traditional sealed, but you just don't know what you're getting. The person next to you could get all the bombs, and then you just be like, well, I don't want to get paired against him, but I'm going to have to, to win the whole thing probably. If I don't know the pairings and how things are going, but yeah, it's a weird situation. But I do like the innovation of doing that. It's not just somebody taking what they think is the best deck and then having a bunch of mirror matches and things throughout the events as we know them so far, right? So I thought this was actually really, really interesting. A lot of us were all cheering, in the Discords when they announced it's like, holy crap, this is really kind of cool. I think Kirsten had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think at least in terms of like the sealed event and having a good player just get a bunch of duds, that I feel like that also could happen in just regular constructed. Like for an example, like you just completely brick to the point where you literally can't play the game. And that's kind of just the luck of it. And that's kind of, I think it's a different version of like better lucky good.
Yeah, it's exacerbated though by they did say this will be a few rounds or the first couple rounds or something that this is going to be. So if you brick in one game, that's fine. You just move on to the next game, right? But if you brick in your 16 packs, now you're essentially bricked for the rest of, that's it. Like you're kind of cooked. But it is interesting. It'll take into account the preparation for this is a lot different from trying to find the best constructed deck in a format. It's kind of like what Kirsten and I did, where we want to rank each card and look to see what the best sort of statistical probability of getting a set of cards is. So how many evasives, how many rush, how many things to account in for. So it definitely does sort of tap into a different part of the Lorcana player's brain that is the World Championship. I don't know how much luck I want to bring into Worlds, So hopefully this is a sort of minimal, contribution to it.
Right.
It's a contribution, but it's like 3 rounds out of 12 or something, right? Like you can lose all 3 of these because you got dud cards,
and it doesn't matter.
Still be fine, right? And just crush it in the next format, which is actually a Rules of Villainy own developed format. We're gonna take credit for this.
Another win for Rules of Villainy and the things that they've brought to the game unexpectedly.
Bucky gone, Hiram gone, World's Info obtained.
Villain's Land at Disney World.
Absolutely opened. So triple deck constructed. this is kind of confusing. So you should definitely look up the graphic. It's out there. I'm sure they'll explain it 1,000 times over at Worlds. But it's basically a step up from regular Lorcana. It is you bring 3 decks to the table. All 6 ink colors must be represented across the 3 decks that you bring, and you play a best of 3 using 2 of those 3 decks, essentially. So you get this interesting sort of, again, setup that does make rounds a little bit longer, but for a 28-person event, this should be fine. You've got your 3 decks of differing colors. We'll talk about which ones we think may be the best combos later on. You sit down with your opponent. I assume you will get to review their deck in some way. This slide says players review their opponent's decks before the match. Doesn't state whether you'll get a full deck list or just the colors, but you'll at least know the 2 colors that they're playing. And then in secret, kind of just reveal it at the same time. You'll flip over and say, I'm banning this deck. Each person will choose 1 deck from the opponent that they are not allowed to play. And then you'll take the remaining 2 decks and you'll play a best of 3. You have to win with both remaining decks in order to win the best of 3. So if you win with one, you got to move on to the next one. If you lose with one, you can stick it out, or you can swap to the other one and then go back to the other to the original. It adds just like such another element. It brings players off of their norm. It requires you to, not only calculate the different matchups, but like how you will go in to the matchup. Like which deck are you looking to ban? Which combinations are we expecting people to see in the meta? It's really, really going to make for an insane high level of play, I think. And frankly, I'm just excited to see players play with not just 1 fully enchanted deck, but 3 fully enchanted decks on stream and blind us all with the shiny.
See, I didn't think you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say I'm excited to see, because it's going to be history made if we see DKP play something other than Ruby Sapphire. Because we all know that anybody sitting across from him is going to be like, you can't play that one. So my first thought was, if he took a meta read or whatever, is like if he wanted to play next level with this whole triple deck constructed, is not. I mean, he's going to build it, of course, but like, what if he didn't? What if he brought 3 brand new decks to Worlds, and then people would be like, I don't know what to tell him not to play,
Right.
So how many decks is he trying right now before this format?
I just feel like if you don't ban DKP's Ruby Sapphire list and he brings one, you're like really gambling that the deck you're going to play is like, you have to have 2 decks that can very convincingly beat DKP with his Ruby Sapphire, because it's like he's gonna ban the one that's the biggest problem, probably. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. This the more I think about it,
It's a whole other level.
Whole other level, right? Because you think, oh well, they're obviously gonna ban my Ruby Sapphire, but then you say, okay, well, do I ban the decks that's good against Ruby Sapphire? No. Why do I care? I'm gonna get it banned out. But maybe they don't ban it because they're like, I'm not afraid of playing it. So now,
It's a whole mind game.
It's
It's
not
wild.
Ruby Sapphire. You're right. He should bring Ruby Amethyst and Sapphire Emerald or something like that. Don't let him get satisfaction.
Any thoughts on that format, Kirsten?
No, I think that sums it all up for me, at least.
Right. Let's move on to a little bit of Rules of Villainy news. We covered it last week. We'll talk about it here and there as the dates approach. Some upcoming events. We have the Jackson Warren Memorial Tournament coming up in July 12th. It's a 2-day tournament, July 12th and July 13th at Impact Gaming Center over on the Illinois side here in St. Louis. Is it Fairview? I think it's at Fairview.
Yeah. Fairview
or
Heights.
Belleville, one of the two. Fairview Heights.
Fairview.
1K plus in pricing. 2-day event. I have it here in the notes as Fairview. Basically a mini DLC, but better. We got all kinds of pricing and still things getting donated. I think there's a hotel block maybe in the works or something. And We'll have a link in the description. I do apologize to last week's listeners. Somebody reached out and said, "Hey, where is that link?" I had to do that again just a few days ago to throw it in there. There is a link on Impact Gaming Center's website. It'll be in the description below. And as we get more information, we will absolutely blast that out to the socials and let you guys know about it. Seems like it's going to be a really big event. A lot of people here in the area are excited, aren't you? Are you guys?
Side events.
Oh, okay.
Whole thing's gonna be live streamed. There's door prizes, so you don't even have to be good, just lucky. Better lucky than good.
Raffle
No,
prizes.
that's what is door
Yeah.
prize, raffle prize, same thing.
Both,
Right?
right? I don't know.
Is that the same thing? And there's
I
gonna
think
be
it's the same
prizes that
thing.
you can win
Oh.
by being lucky
Yeah.
and not good.
I don't know.
Is my understanding of it.
Yeah.
3v3 side event on day 2. Tons of like on demand events. We're gonna be live streaming it all day. I think we'll have two tables. We might even have 2 live streams going. Still working all the production out, but it's gonna be awesome. July 12th and 13th. You need to be in Fairview, Illinois, St. Louis area. Come hang out with the villains. Come support a great cause. And let's make this an awesome event.
Yeah, shout out to Tom for putting it together. He even got a championship belt. If you weren't convinced already, there's a championship belt for you to win from the main event, and it looks really, really, really cool.
It's legit.
So yeah,
Scar on it too.
Scar and Stitch, I think was the other one. I said Lilo last time when I was doing the editing or the timestamps. Like, I said Lilo, I meant Stitch. But yeah, definitely check that out. And then another appearance of Rules of Villainy in the wild. Andy and Kirsten in a couple of weeks, June 7th, are going down to Louisville for 5K at Through the Decades. You guys ready? You guys got any ideas what you're building through the Jafar meta?
No.
That's going to be exciting. Yeah,
Send us some decks.
Louisville.
Some good meta decks that are supposed to be strong because I need some recommendations because I have no idea what to do.
And I think what's really exciting about it is the fact that you don't know what to expect. It's just a couple weeks into the new meta of Reign of Jafar, so you could play anything. You don't know what to expect.
And terrifying.
Yeah,
because I could play anything, but my opponent could also play anything.
I think my mindset would be I like not knowing. Like I go into the set championships knowing I'm going to see a lot of Ruby Sapphire. I'm going to see a lot of Steel Song, maybe the birds that we saw the entire time. But now I know that we might still see those decks, but not what form they've taken with the new set. And a lot of people experimenting with new stuff. So I still think I'm going to. If I went, I would get my butt beat. But I would be excited to see these new combos and stuff potentially play out in front of me.
I'm definitely excited, but I'm also very, because again, I don't know what to play, and I'm a terrible deck builder, so like, I'm not good at like, let's add in this spice and see if it works, because then I end up with like trash.
Yeah. How
about you, Andy?
If you're into like deck building and like you enjoy spicy builds, like the Illumineer of Fortune, they always have like the spicy like fairies in the hood and just in time deck this past sets. I feel like they would really enjoy something like this where technically it's not supposed to be the new set yet because it's supposed to be 2 weeks or a week after big box
have
launch.
They said
it's going to be new set. I mean, I'm
it's gonna be new set.
certain it's going to be the new set. That'd be crazy if it wasn't, but it'll be a week after the set launches, so we'll be scrambling to get cards. We're going to be asking to borrow everyone's cards for the ones that we need that we don't get, because we can't use partner.tcgplayer.com/ROV, probably because it won't arrive in time. Although you can for your events coming up or any singles you need for the new set. But yeah, it's just going to be really cool because you have this opportunity to like dig through the new cards and come up with something crazy and spicy that no one's going to expect. Everyone's going to be playing basically old decks with just a few new cards. And honestly, that's probably what I'm going to play. I'm going to take Ruby Sapphire. I'm going to slap some Lilos in there. I'm going to go down to Nolines. And I'm probably just going to, that's cool. We're cool with that.
Thinking about taking some version of Song again.
Steel Song with that new discard.
Something. I don't know.
Discard and draw 3. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty bonkers.
Sure.
Either that or
seems wild.
Bringing puppies. I might bring Sapphire Amber puppies.
I don't think you will. I bet you won't
Turn
actually.
and Jock.
Nah,
Yeah.
it would just have to be like aggro or something, but
Yeah.
All
it's
right.
hard. It's hard to do.
Sure.
Anyway, we've got
Yeah,
more
week
OG
after
in the wild, right?
week after that, teammates Reckless and Britt are going down to CCS in Atlanta, June 14th and 15th. Where they're having all kinds of big events. I think it's a 1K. There's a children's event. I think is there a women's only? There's a scholarship event. It's the children's one, right? Like,
Children's scholarship
The
event,
kids'
Yeah.
scholarship
a
event.
women's only tournament,
yeah.
10K. There's a regular 10K, I believe, as well.
And CCS is always a good time. You see, anytime a CCS event happens, you see Charlie's Collectible Show. For those unaware, that it blows up on the socials. Everybody's talking about the big winners and the big decks and everything. It seems like it's a really good time and a really good trip. And I don't know on 2 weeks' notice if I can make it, but I'm gonna consider. I'm gonna try now that it's we're right here at Reign of Jafar, and I'm kind of excited about the game again. Maybe there's a chance, but June's a busy month, so we'll see. But I want to wish, if you see Ron or Britt there in Rules of Villainy jerseys, give them a shout out, say hi to them. I'm sure they'd be happy to see you. So, yeah. And you guys you're going to through the decades. Your CCS is probably out the window, right?
Yeah, we were
Gen Con coming up too.
considering. Yeah, we were considering doing CCS, and we were gonna go with Ron and Britt, but we ended up not doing that because we got the news about Worlds, and then
Sure.
we're like, oh, maybe we hold off on that, and then we're like, oh,
Well,
and then we just kind of were like, oh, well, maybe we'll just do the Kentucky one instead
Sure.
because it's closer and it's a less of a drive. And
yeah. Either way, they're both going to be really big, really cool events, and we're going to have a little bit of a presence there. And I want to wish all of you guys the best of luck, and hopefully we can bring back some swag for the Rules of Villainy fam.
Yeah. And the best part about Louisville, Kentucky, they are opening a Wawa.
Wawa.
They have Wawa.
You love your Wawa.
The official convenience store.
Look, it's not a non-original Wawa-ian
of the Rules of Villainy.
I am converted, I love it.
It is.
I'd have to experience a Wawa to make that decision myself, because I'm a Quick Trip guy. I really like Quick Trip.
Look.
Yeah.
I grew up on Quick Trip.
Yeah.
It does not compare.
Really?
It's not.
Oh man.
So
they're not even in the same category as Brad. I'm telling you, they're totally different things.
So if I see you in Louisville, Kentucky, and we both get the bye because we're 0-5, or we get to ID and skip the round, and you want to take a Wawa break, let me know. We'll head on over and grab some pretzels.
Don't forget to bring me back something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. That's it for Underworld News. Let's move into Constituents Corner, where we have 2 questions this week. We'll make them. Well, this one is kind of loaded. We'll spend some time on this one. From Jackalope Spam, they ask, obvious question time. You're playing in the... You're making it bigger on my screen. Obvious question time. You're playing the new triple deck constructed format. What are your 3 decks? And I'll start with Kirsten.
Oh no. Okay, because my answers are flawed, right? Because I'm gonna say Steel Song, and then that only leaves a couple of other categories left. I can't really put Ruby Amethyst together because then it just leaves me with Baja, and I don't like Baja.
I
like
Baja, and you can play Ruby Amethyst. That seems like your only option, right?
Yeah, because I don't know how to play Ruby Sapphire. Because I like green, I like Emerald Amethyst, but I don't like Ruby Sapphire. But it works. Like, it's a good deck, so like I feel like I should go with that.
I feel like given the meta right now, at least the set champions. Yeah, those 3 are very, very good choices.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go Ruby Amethyst and Baja. Because the new Go-Go, I'm gonna play that new Go-Go.
Heck yeah.
That new Go-Go slaps.
Nice. Mine is what Kirsten should have said, and what I think is the actual most superior. Like, if Worlds was this meta and we were doing a triple deck tournament right now, I think Steel Song, Emerald Amethyst, and then Ruby Sapphire. So I'd probably play Ruby Sapphire Manor, the Burbs for Emerald Amethyst, and obviously the regular Steel Song. I think no Diggy.
Queen.
But the way you look at it is Steel. Amber doesn't do great with anything other than Steel, and honestly, Steel pretty much does the best with Amber. arguments for Amethyst. Amethyst works with everything, so you really don't need to worry about that one. Whatever's left over, you just put it with Amethyst. And honestly, Emerald kind of works with most other, colors as well.
As it's supposed to. That's its identity, right? Adaptability to everything.
And so Ruby Sapphire is just the strongest deck in the format, I think. And so you play that, it gets banned out, and you've got Steel Song and Amethyst Emerald. That said, those I believe are the strongest decks in the format, as we discussed earlier. Like there's this whole other like metagame to the metagame of like, well, people are going to be playing those 3 decks, so maybe I play ones that counter those decks, or maybe I need 2 decks that go fast and one that control, it. All kinds of crazy considerations there. What about you, Brad?
I do agree. I think the smart choices are Steel Song, Ruby Sapphire, and Emerald Amethyst. But my heart, that's the brain pick. The heart in me is Amber Ruby. I would probably play some form of Mufasa. I know it's funny, but I would play probably Ruby Fasa, Blurple, and Emerald Steel. I started the game I didn't start the game, but I moved into, as we phased out of set 1, into Emerald Steel, and I really liked that before it became the big discard deck. There wasn't a lot of discard options yet, but it was a lot of like ping damage and stuff with Hans and the Cusco I've always loved, and it was a fun deck to play at the time, and I moved into a little bit of the discard in set 2 before it really, really blew up into a full discard package that is very, very strong. But when I think of the Emerald Steel, I'm currently the decks that I play, and you're all aware of. I think that there's a very fun like actions/pirates deck that is out there that hasn't been mastered yet. But like I played a version of it since the beginning of this past set of Archazia's Island that Frank Kirsten put together, and it was all action heavy and all revolved around one of the new SMEs, and was a lot of fun. And with the new set, we got the new Captain Hook Pirate King and all these other Emerald Steel cards that seem like they could be a lot of fun. So those are what I gravitate towards. But I knowing in my head that the big 3 are the ones that you guys already mentioned, but those are the decks that I like playing. So those would be my 3.
Honestly, Emerald Steel ping damage, like infinite combo, isn't dead. I've seen people playing that in the wild. I mean, it is end of set. People are kind of just messing around, but that deck definitely isn't nothing, right? There are still, even if you aren't discarding or even doing the Diablo things, Pete is a great card. Tinkerbell's still a great card. There's other good cards in Emerald Steel that do fun things from the set.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, that's it for that question. I thought we'd spend more time on that, but everybody pretty much had locked in what they wanted. So the next one, John really justify or set up the question pretty thoroughly. So I'm gonna read through it really quickly if you guys don't oppose to it, or do you want just the question?
I don't care. Go for it.
All right. So John, in our Discord, teammate John, or from the Laws of Heroism podcast, if you're familiar, asks, I feel like inking for turn with your card face up is superior than what the comprehensive rules lay out. It provides clarity to your opponent what you are inking. It is a great reminder to yourself that you have inked for turn, which prevents some of the most common issues with Lorcana games, mainly the dreaded quote unquote, have I inked this turn? Or wait, which Mickey did you ink? I have encountered so many people that don't show their cards long enough or don't speak up or show the card without announcing it, etc., that I feel like a more prescribed process should be in place. It seems almost everyone has a different way of approaching the ink phase. Now, the question, do you feel like the inking process should be updated to eliminate variance? If so, what is the ideal inking process for you? And we'll start with Andy.
I think to answer the question, it is yes. I do feel like the inking process should or could be updated to eliminate some of this variance. That said, I think this brewed a further discussion about like the actual ruling on this, and the ruling doesn't say you can't ink your cards face up. It just doesn't say that you have to, right? Like The method John is talking about, I do feel is the most superior method. I think it's the cleanest
Agreed.
way to do it. You place cards that you've inked naturally face up, and you leave them that way until the end of the turn. At which point you flip them face down during your end of turn phase, and you move on. What I can see the counter argument to this being is like we don't want to get to a point where like we have to be robots, right? Like you should be able to have a Lorcana robot follow all of these rules and like do the things and like do all of the actions very cleanly and basically. But I do like that there is a lot of like leeway in a lot of the Lorcana rules that don't say, you know, if you don't specifically state it this way, you're rule sharked. If you don't ink exactly this way, right? Like if you don't show, imagine it's like stopping at a stop sign, right? Like you ink and you have to show it ink face up for at least 3 seconds, and then you may place it face down in your inkwell, and it's like your opponent's like, well, that wasn't 3 seconds. That was a rolling ink.
Judge.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so I do want to avoid that, but I do think that like as we move forward in Lorcana, that should become like the gold standard for how you act in your turn. There will always be those people. We saw one. Was it the guy at the DLC? Honestly, absolute psychopath. They put their ink above their cards on the game board, right? Like you remember seeing that at the DLC?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to imagine it. Ugh.
Instead of the bottom being where their inkwell face down, it was the other way around. That's like the extreme example, but I mean, I've played with people who put their discard in front of their deck, like closer to me.
Yeah,
that's psycho behavior too. What?
I do.
It makes the card look like it's in play to an extent.
To an extent, but the point of it is so they're not reaching over your entire board to look at your discard. Like it makes it more accessible. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it does.
Should be on the list, but
yeah, you can't do that. It's like exerting left. You get on the Greg exerts both ways list.
I'm in the same boat with you. I think that inking them face up and leaving them face up for the entirety of your turn is perfect. I think that you leave it up. There's no questions asked about what card it was, or there's no forgetting if you ink that turn, especially when you have cards like Bell or Sail that allows you to ink a second time. You know that you've inked once per turn, or at least once of the amount of times that you can ink this turn. And if you're doing the same thing you're doing with the ink cards already and exerting them when you play. And so it's a good habit to get into to do that. I think everybody should adapt to that. And I think that, in the long run, it's going to, as long as you don't have a big messy board full of like 20 items like Ron or something where it can be confused as a card in play. Right. But, yeah. Keep your board clean and present yourself like you're playing a very honest game of Lorcana where the other person doesn't have to suspect that you're being shady about it, right? You're inking this card and you're showing them, you're leaving it. They don't have any questions. You don't have any forgetfulness. And yeah, it seems cut and dry, the easiest thing to do in that situation. What do you think, Kirsten?
I agree. I'm very like inconsistent with it though.
Yeah,
I've tried to like start doing the ink face up for my turn, and then I'll like go to ink the next turn, and the card's still face up from last turn.
Yeah,
that's my problem.
Why is that face up? I'm like,
yeah. That's my problem too, is I get fidgety, so I play with my inkwell, which I should not do. I want to make it very clear to everybody listening. I should not do that because there are cards that require, you're like to be like if a Mufasa flipped over an Ana was an example or whatever. If you have ink that's not exerted, you can use that, so you have to keep track of your unused ink in between turns, for things like that. But yeah, there are several turns where my Tipo is still sitting there late in the game because I was like, oh yeah, I inked him and he should be flipped over at this point. But yeah, 100% agree with you.
But I'm trying to get there. We'll get there one day. Fine.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the inking process, Andy?
No, I think in general the like cleanest play that you like, the most clean play is like, I don't know. I think that's something to strive for. Obviously,
Yep.
you run out of time and stuff, but it's like a shuffle, right? When you watch the really good players who like shuffle, I also find, and like you're like, oh, that's really cool. I also find that like players
Mesmerized.
that like exert and like manage their ink really well, like they'll pick up their ink and they'll like drop it down in piles of like 5, like perfectly and stuff, and um, so there's definitely room for you to have style to it and like your
Yeah.
own sort of flair and how you want to manage your ink well, but
Mhm.
making that process very clean, I think, is something to strive for.
Right on. Any final thoughts for you, Kirsten?
Nope, we're good.
All right, that'll conclude Constituents Corner. This is the second week in a row where I don't have my outro in front of me. So if you would like to ask questions to the villains here, comment on this video below. Check out our Discords or our socials. And on the Discord, we have a Constituents Corner channel where you can get your questions on the show as well. And this is where I would normally kick it to Vince, but since I'm running the show tonight, we're moving into the main segment, and I'm going to kick it over to Andy because him and Kirsten just earlier this week did a whole live video on all of the cards that you need to consider for limited format, and they're going to kind of give a rundown here, what's the word I'm looking for? A recap of what we of what to expect going into Reign of Jafar this weekend for your limited events. Yeah. Take it away, Andy.
We may or may not have bit off a little more than we could chew trying to fit in 200 cards in 2 hours. It went a little bit longer, wee bit. And we definitely could have done a little bit better in the planning process to figure out how some of these scores mattered. We didn't write down all of the scores as we went properly, so we can't really tell you which cards were rated highest and stuff, and like the average score of different things. I can say one thing with pretty big certainty that there is like one specific card out of the 204, pack one, pick one, always the best card to take, best card of the set. And I think you know who that is, Brad.
Dump truck.
Dump truck. All right.
Why
we
is
need
that?
to make that a thing though, because now instead of it gets Medusa'd, it gets dump truck.
Yep. Exactly.
Yes.
That card's a 1/4. Yeah, but it could get quad dump trucked. So like, is it really that good? Yeah.
You get the dump truck. I mean, look, come on.
Yeah.
It's a good card though. Not gonna lie.
It is removable. I mean, I did point out a couple cards here, but we can talk about those in a second. I guess like the biggest things is we just want to sort of reiterate a lot of the tips and tricks that we've learned when it comes to limited formats. We're mostly talking about sealed here. Draft adds a little bit of an extra element, but a lot of these things still pertain to draft. Draft, you just have to think a little more about which cards you want to take and when, as opposed to just being able to look through all of them for sealed. But really, it's a different game of Lorcana here. You do not have your combos. You do not have 4 popsicles, 4 bells, 4 Hirams, and all of these combos that you can get off. So you really, really want to avoid some of these pitfalls and some of these traps. Items are a really, really big one. There's a lot of Sapphire cards that revolve around items. We've got multiple Wish.com versions of Hiram this set, right? Like discard an item from your hand, draw a couple cards, like exert everything and draw one item, weird stuff. You really, really don't want to try and get them. Even if you have like, oh, I've got a couple of these, maybe I can get this combo to work. You really want cards that guarantee you something. You want
a body.
Yes. What do you look at the card, interview it. What do you promise me? What can you actually do for me? When they say, oh, well, if you give me a couple items, I might be able to draw you some cards. Nah. I need something tangible. You put a 4/4 body on the board, that is a 4/4 body. It has to be removed in some way, and usually that means taking out a couple characters. So yeah, I put here the note: be very, very conservative with like potential cards that have potential to be so much better. I can't think of a good analogy, but
Trap.
yeah, trap cards. I was trying to think of like a casino analogy, right? Like my one chip has the potential to win me, 32 times its value by putting it on one singular number on roulette, right? But you have a better chance. You want to be more consistent with the cards that you pick. Kirsten made a good point. Bodies on board, win the board, win the game, right? I think that's a saying we've said before. You really want things that'll stick around a little longer. One of the biggest pitfalls I see people go into is like this aggro approach. You say, wow, this card quests for 2. Wow, this card quests for 2. But if it's like a 1/3 or a 0/4 or these things, they're getting removed eventually, and they're never ever taking anything out with them. So you might be able to quest for 2, maybe even 3 times, right? So that's like 6 lore there. But if my character lives and yours doesn't, and I can quest with them for the next 6 turns, well, then, we've evened out here. So you want to try and have stuff that sticks around on the board. Yeah. So, I guess a couple other things here. Removal is huge. Brad, you taught us this. Where did you learn this from? The BREAD acronym?
BREAD. I actually heard it first from Katie. I think it's a common Katie at the Lore Keepers Inn. I think it's a common acronym throughout all collector stores, but I learned it from Katie, who has great limited videos every set as well. It is bombs, removal, evasives, aggro, and duds. You want to be aware of what those cards are in regards to what you're pulling. So this is a bomb card, this is a dud. You're taking the bombs, you're getting rid of the duds, and then you're looking for some conditional stuff like the evasives and the aggro and stuff that's going to get you over to 20, and the removal, which is very important, which is Andy is segueing to right now with the different cards here, and all the formats or all the different sets that come out have some form of removal for these types of events outside of constructed. So you can pick up 6 packs and play, build a deck and play Disney Lorcana with all of the tools that it provides. So BREAD is a great thing to remember.
And they're in order too, right? Like bombs all the way to duds. So removal is second in that list. So removal is definitely important. And like Brad said, because you can play with all the colors from the 6 packs that you open. Cards like Into the Unknown, a blurple card that I'm sure Brad will speak highly of, but I think is overhyped. However, in limited format, it is not overhyped because giving your opponent ink doesn't really matter. Removal is incredibly valuable. There's not much. Another reason why a card like Wrong Lever is also very, very good. It's a Mother Knows Best at worst, but if you find the Pull the Lever card as well, which Pull the Lever is an uncommon, Wrong Lever is a rare, so you're more likely to have that Pull the Lever than the Wrong Lever, but if you grab them both, you can hit a really, really good combo. But again, it's not about potential, it's about the guarantee. And so Wrong Lever guarantees you can send something back to their hand, like a Mother Knows Best. It has the potential, though, to fully remove it for good. Obviously, Dump Truck is top tier removal in this set.
Can we talk about that really quickly? Because I'm just now looking at it after all the memeing about it, and it just does 1 damage when played. Are you looking to bounce it or
I'm looking to play it. That's when
play it right when he does the 1 damage, and then just recycle it over and over again, or
no, just you play it, does 1 damage.
Okay.
And so you can, in limited formats, you're actually allowed to have as many copies of a single card as you want. And so
okay, yeah, and he's a common. Yep.
Yeah, so I'll basically have a 40 card dump truck. Yeah, the 40 40 card dump truck deck.
Maybe you're
and
shocking.
no matter what you play, I'm just going to continually do 1 damage to it.
That makes sense now. Okay, because as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, well, we've been talking about it. Let me go look at it again. I'm like, it just does 1 damage. But if you have 5 of them, since he's a common, that takes out. You draw all of them, and you're taking out things just ping, 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 ping.
Yeah, if you look at it, there's several key cards that like dump truck will give you like insane value on. Obviously like Bambi, although that is a legendary, but even the common Vanellope von Schweetz, the 3/1 evasive that people are going to be playing, this is another thing I put in here as well. Removal is limited in this format, so you want to try and save it for key cards, right? So when you look at dump truck, there are looks like 8 different cards here that all have 1 willpower. So don't play it on 1. If it's your only 1 drop, don't play it. Like dump truck is there to do that 1 damage. Besides taking out some of these good characters like the evasive Jiminy Cricket, the evasive Vanellope von Schweetz, the evasive Tinkerbell, the 3 lore Bambi that will just continually go back to hand. Actually, I guess you play the dump truck. Its damage.
Bambi will get
Bambi's
banished.
gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't go back to hand. Yeah. But being able to take out these cards is valuable. But you're also like 1 damage isn't something to be, to joke about necessarily. There's cards that want damage on them on your own side that you could potentially use it on. And it could also just be a matter of like the break point. I think I'm not going to remember the numbers, so everyone who's watching this is going to have to go to Knives Nerd Corner and look at their Jafar set review. They have the numbers, but essentially strength, willpower, and lore per ink. The strength per ink is lower than willpower per ink, which is normal, but from the past sets, it's actually gone up a little bit in willpower per ink. So cards essentially have a little bit more of a dump truck on them than they did previously, right? They got a thick booty cards now. They're getting a little thicker. So this dump truck does 1 damage. Now your 3/4 can take out a 2/4 or something like that. So kind of long-winded, but ultimately dump truck is a great card.
Goated. Pew, 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 pew.
In all seriousness, it's not the best card, but it's a good card, right? Like removal is great. Wrong Lever, Into the Unknown are great removal cards. There's also that one. It's a little expensive. It's like the expensive Dragonfire. I don't remember what that one was. Get Out.
I remember.
Banish chosen character, then return an item card from your discard to your hand. So basically, banish chosen character, then put this card into your discard, and stop reading because you're not going to get an item back.
Yeah, the sticks cost uninkable too, but yeah, worth like late game having to deal with something that you wouldn't otherwise deal with, because at that point in the game, they might be putting down the winning card that you can't exert and challenge into or have the removal for. So having some sort of spot removal, even though it's a 6 cost uninkable in limited form, could save you from losing, in a situation like that. So
people thought I was crazy. I think I played 2 copies in one of the sealed events last set of Out of Order.
Unconventional too. Mm-hmm. Oh no, yeah, it was out of order.
7 cost uninkable banished character draw card. It was inkable?
It's inkable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's an inkable Dragonfire, but it costs 2 more.
Okay, and you draw a card though, right?
No, you just banish.
No, it's just banish.
What was the one where you banish character, draw a card?
I think Hades, maybe?
Sure. Maybe it did.
Energy Blast, that's what it was.
Oh, okay.
7 cost, uninkable, banish chosen character, draw a card. I played 2 of those in the set. This was, I guess, two sets ago, set 6. But I mean, you save that, and then they play that bomb essentially that they picked up, and they've been working up towards, and you're just like gone. Oh, and I
not today.
And, like no big deal, and you don't mind taking a turn off to before you play your big person. You just take out their thing. So that 6 cost uninkable is good. Save it though. Save it and make sure you feel right. Like this is their thing that I if I take this out, they're done for.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that plays a little bit into like card advantage as well. This is normal in regular games, but it especially comes into play in these limited formats because card draw is so valuable and important. But the amount of cards your opponent has in hand is a very, very important tool and piece of knowledge to have. When they have one card left in hand or no cards left in hand, and you play, obviously we don't have B prep here, but when we play like this expensive Dragonfire, that's incredibly more valuable than when they have 4 cards in hand and you're playing this to remove one of the characters from board. You know that they have 3 to 4 characters coming behind that you're also going to have to deal with. So like, try and pay attention to stuff like that. Try and keep as many cards as you can in hand. Play better characters, not more characters. I've beaten Kirsten a number of times in pack rushes because she will play like 2 1-drops on turn 1 instead of like a 3-drop. And then my 3-drop can clean up both of her 1-drops over the next 2 turns as she quests for 2 or 3 with them. And then she's out of cards in hand, and I'm playing my 4-drop, my 5-drop, my 6-drop because she played out a bunch of 1-drops. So the same thing kind of goes here for this limited, where you play out too many of these little drops. If you have too many of these 1-drops or 2-drops in your deck in general, you just won't have the big characters that help you win the game later.
Mhm.
Do you have any thoughts on limited, Kirsten?
Nope,
Any
said it all,
tips
basically.
from? Yeah.
Do you guys have any cards you're excited to see? I put a list of a couple cards that I think are pretty nice that I'll definitely want to play with. Do you guys have
I'm big on that Arthur. I mean, that Arthur's good in general. You guys talked about on the stream or whatever, where you don't want to give up your card draw because, as Andy just said, at some point in sealed event, there's not a lot of draw options. So that a lot of times these games end with you who's top decking the better cards, right? So giving up your draw phase with that Arthur is big, but he is a 4 cost inkable 6/6 that quests for 3. So you're forcing them to deal with him, and while you're just continually questing for 3, they're dumping everything into that Arthur to get him off the board, which allows you to draw again. But how much lore is he accumulated by the time they've been able to do that? Maybe 6, but like that's 6 more than they got for a couple of turns, right?
So sealed, right?
6 pack, yeah.
Okay, here's the answer: 6 dump trucks.
6 dump trucks.
One from every side.
Yeah.
You can do it, baby. They're commons. You can do it, baby.
But even 1 dump truck and a 5 strength or something like that. But my biggest problem with the Arthur is like you play him on turn 4, right? And let's say you have 1 or 2 more cards left in your hand or whatever. That's it. That's all you get to play. Your opponent continually gets another card every single turn to put on the board. So that Arthur has to basically do the work of your whole deck because nothing is coming to help. Help is not coming for you, Arthur. There are no additional cards to go to the board. No body cards to come down to save you. No removal to help get rid of them and stuff. So, it's good when you have a lot of other cards in your hand already.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, it's a good body as well, too, right? Like a 6/6 can clear out something. So, like, if you're planning on trading that 6/6, or I mean, heck, if they clear it fast enough, then like, 4 cost 3 lore does 6 damage back in return is not anything to worry about. But like, imagine you have that out and no cards left in hand, and then they just play like a bunch of cards, right? Like a big wide board. Imagine they can quest for 4 every turn. Now
they're beating you 20.
Yeah, they're replacing every card every turn with a new one. So it's kind of rough. I do really like the Prince John, right? Is it Prince John or
3 cost?
John?
That's probably Prince.
3 cost uninkable 5/5.
Yeah, that one, and it takes 1 damage whenever an opponent plays a character, deal 1 damage to this character. I'm fine with that. This is going to trade with whatever swings into it. You just quest and quest and quest, or you just swing this in before they take it out. If they play 5 characters in order to get rid of this, then or 5 characters or 3 dump trucks. Okay. Just saying 2 jump trucks and another character. But that's a really nice one. Or even the vanilla cards, Ariana Grande. It's a 5-cost inkable 5/5 quest for 2. It's like Li Shang, right, from previous sets.
Yeah.
Great stat line, love it. I want 4 of them in my deck. I'll just keep playing these every turn. The opponent's gonna be like, ugh. Rhino, big Rhino.
This Rhino is got Dad Kana, Luke over at Dad Kana, really high on Steel Fossa, saying that it is really dirty in theory right now. Maybe some testing, I'm not sure, but he's got me excited about it. I'm more of a Ruby Fossa guy, but this Rhino is very, very good.
4-cost inkable 4/3/2 with resist 2 while no damage.
Where's it shift 2?
Shift 2.
Shift 2 and resist 2 with no damage. Yeah, it's insane.
It's a really good card.
Shifts like the queen.
Yep.
Which in a regular Steel Song can sing Zeus and
it's the exact same card as the queen, except it's just instead of the plus minus, it's just a resist 2 with no damage. Yeah.
Well, it's not 5 cost as well, so it can't.
Oh, it's not 5. You're right.
Can sing Zeus still. Great card. I have this in here, whether you have the shift or not, but also the 1-cost Rhino is not a bad card either.
Yeah.
And to shift this on 2 would just be like
bonkers.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They need to deal 3 damage to you
just to take the resist away.
Take the resist away. So yeah, not going great.
Super rare. So it's not going to be common in your sealed events, unless it's one of those super rares that you just pull like it's an uncommon. Like there are cards that feel like that. So we don't know. It could be that for you.
Yeah. Others on here I put in, I'll just go through real quick. Oh, Mushu. Both Mushus are great. There are actually, I learned this from Knives as well. Again, huge shout out. There is only 1 rush card in this whole set, and it is Monstro, the 8-cost 6/8.
You're a big boy.
Good card, kind of expensive. But Mushu, there's an exert to give rush Mushu, and there's also the everyone gets rush, reckless, and evasive Mushu. So definitely cards to look out for and can be very, very helpful. Card draw is huge. Pull the lever. It's friends. Basically friends. You can't sing it, but it's friends. Pay 3, draw 2. Don't get too worried about discarding their cards from their hand. Drawing 2 cards is almost always better. The 2 cards you draw will be better than the 1 card that you would have discarded from them. Bernard, I think it's draw on banish, right? Or is it? Oh no, it's if you have an ally in play. When you play this character, if you have an ally in play, draw a card. Which there's a lot of allies. Should be easy to get. Definitely a nice.
Rhino's one.
Place itself. Yeah, Rhino's one. Beyond the Horizon is kind of crazy. That's the one that anyone pick any number of players to discard their hand and draw 3 cards. You're almost never going to get the discard value out of it by like dumping their hand. You're probably just going to be playing this on yourself as like a dock. But that's like singing. It's a sing together 7, so it's a little expensive. But being able to use your characters to just refill your hand with 3 new cards is pretty bonkers.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So you sing them with cards like Prince John or these big cards that you don't care if they try and take out. They lose their characters in an exchange, but you've gotten 3 cards back that are now going to get to play out and continue your devious plans. But yeah, I think that's really it. I don't want to dwell on it too much. Go out there, open packs, have fun, play. This is one of those things, the chances to play with your cards.
And then come to our Discord, and when you pull something shiny, put it in our So Shiny channel.
Yeah.
I want to see all your enchanted.
Let us
And
know
she's
how
gonna
it went.
secretly ask you for.
To
She's
me.
gonna pop in your DMs and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
can I get that? How much?
Hey,
Can I
you
get that?"
trade?
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the limited discussion?
No, like she said,
I want to
pop in the Discord. Come
pop in the
tell us how you did.
Discord. The link down in the description below. Check out their video from Tuesday. You can go through and check out. They did it by number or by cost of the card. So if you're looking for the one cost, go to the beginning of the video, skip through, find the card. You know that you want the advice on. Some really really good stuff on there from the times that I popped in to say hello and be obnoxious in the chat. So definitely check that out. Yeah. All right. Moving on to not the villain of the week. We are in villain of the set. We had 11 nominees from the past 11 weeks of Archazia's Island. Every week we have a villain of the week, and we compile them all at the end of the set and have you vote on them to see who was the villain of the set. And we have compiled that list in a Discord poll closed tonight. Kirsten, do you want to give the winner?
Sure. Let me look, double check. All right. The winner is Belle, Apprentice Inventor.
Of course.
Probably.
Of
The
course it is.
3-cost inkable. During your turn, you may banish chosen item of yours to play this character for everyone's favorite word. Free.
Free.
All free. 3 strength, 3 willpower. Gotta love it.
Yeah, she effectively got our boy Hiram banned. Him and Fortisphere with the
It's just so
the
silly.
Yeah.
Should just like we shouldn't have printed that, guys. Just kidding. just pretend that didn't happen.
She has been in every I think every Sapphire deck except Andy's. I think this didn't you say on Saturday I was like, "Are you going to play your Bell now?" He's like, "I ain't playing that card." And it threw me. I thought you were just joking.
Bell in any of my Sapphire decks.
No, so the bell works better with more items, which is why it worked well with the Fortisphere. And it was just like this critical mass of Bell, Fortisphere, Popsicle. You have the Fortisphere and Popsicle, which enable Hiram, Bell, Scrooge, and Tammy. And the Tammy brings them back to re-enable more Bells, more Scrooges. And you can Scrooge and then Bell / Hiram and then Tammy to bring them all back. It's just like this sick, nasty like combo.
And
that
she's
existed.
common.
Yeah.
She's a common card. Like, so there was no problems getting her either. I think there's a 3 of in the single player decks. Yeah.
Yep. So
absolutely insane.
It doesn't really work in the mana protection that I was playing, though, which I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't mention this before. We talked about the end of sets. I do want to just say on the record officially, I believe that we are ending this meta, set 7 meta. I believe Ruby Sapphire is the best deck of the meta. So I don't think I made a statement before, but that was the same. I had the same opinion at the end of the last set. TKP kind of proved to the world with that Australia win, down under. But Ruby Sapphire, best deck. Regardless of which version you play, honestly, both of them are really, really good. But the Bell works better with more items. Mana version usually has more actions. You just don't need the Bell.
Remember the days back in set 2 when we were playing the OTK Ariel, Ruby Sapphire, and Big Tammy? And oh man,
crazy.
Love that. Sorry, Kirsten, you were going to say something.
I think that Steel Song has a leg to stand on against Sapphire.
Oh God,
version.
Oh yeah. Play. And then the new set's just making it even better with Beyond the Horizon, and singing Whole New World, and then making them discard their card down to 3. Like
new set,
if played right, and if you are lucky enough,
the
Pete's completely shut down your deck.
Not Big Sisu. Pete is a. I want to cuss real bad, all right, but Pete is a card, okay? It is a card, all right. But like Steel Song generally loses to Ruby Sapphire. I definitely have no problem playing into. We were in Farmington watching Steel Song versus Amethyst Steel. sorry, Thomas. I love you. We had some great games there, and I'm glad you did really, really well. But we were rooting for that Steel song because I thought that was an easier matchup. The Amethyst Steel ended up being an easy matchup as well, but yeah, I didn't
Throwing shade.
I thought I was
kidding.
cooked. I thought I was cooked. They were more well versed on the matchup than I was, which actually led to like worst experience for them because they sat down and they were like, I'm cooked. And I sat down and I'm like, I'm cooked, but they knew more than I did that they were right. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I learned that day that it worked out, but
I learned something that day.
Yeah.
But
yes, Steel Song's good. Steel Song's definitely really good.
For sure. And it's only going to get better. Going back to this Belle here, we had 22 votes in the Discord. She took it with 5 at 23%. The next closest was Hiram Flaversham, of course, with 18, and Peter Pan Shadowfinder with 4 votes as well. He popped up there halfway through the set with the Rush Iago package and Ruby Amethyst and made a name for himself.
Bunch of Diablo players hate that card, probably.
Yeah, for sure. He absolutely made a name for himself. Didn't quite get there. Belle took it down with 5. We had 22 votes. I'm going to spin a wheel really quickly. We promised everybody an entry into a raffle, and that raffle was going to be one of every items in the Archazia's Island OP kit. I'm spinning the wheel now, and that is going to go... It's gonna go to John, who I think won.
Oh my goodness!
The first villain of the set.
Oh my goodness! It's rigged. This is rigged.
I'm taking a screenshot of it now.
Fine. John has won basically all of our giveaways, and if it isn't John, I think it's Megan. Megan won one as well.
Megan won something at one point, but Mystic Moonsong won the last one.
Okay, that's fine.
She won the Half Shark one. Yeah,
I think we're just like. We should just basically, whenever we have a contest, just basically give John and Megan a prize because they've been winning all of them. Better lucky than good, right? No, I'm joking.
I'm joking.
We love you, John.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, John. Thank you so much for all. Coffee. Honestly, if I want to give a shout out to John from the very get-go at the start of this podcast, he has been one of the most supportive people, jumping on all of our streams, all of our shenanigans, being a part of that. So we appreciate you, John. It couldn't have gone to a better person.
I don't have a favorite audience member, but it's John.
Trying to play favorites.
Look, I don't play favorites. There isn't one person in our live stream chats that I like the most. It's John, but like. It could be. It's probably John. Okay, I'm just saying.
Oh, stop it! He's gonna be gushing when he listens to this on Friday. But while he's ripping his packs from the. I'm sorry.
As long as Andy doesn't forget to put it on Spotify.
Nobody listens on Spotify. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, all you Spotify listeners out there. We love you too. But yeah,
we do. You guys have any other items you want to touch on before we wrap this one up?
Nope, I've banished all of
my
items.
No items to banish.
Play all of my bells. So
yeah.
All right. Let us know on your thoughts of the villain of the set. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're joining us on audio, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you definitely should. We are having a ton of fun over here. We have Deck Test Tuesdays live every Tuesday. We've got the Mayor's Meta Report, comes out every week. And please be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, ring the bell to be notified of all of our fun, enjoyable content.
We understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending a little bit with us. If you would like to follow along with us as we plot our devious plans, consider following us on our socials. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, @Rules of Villainy. We also have a growing community on Discord, which I mentioned several times here. Come share your pets with me, in which you can join with the link below, because it's definitely there.
It is there. Bring your pets, bring your shinies, and until next week, stay safe, fellow villains. Be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.
Don't get dumb trucked.